So Lex, give me a quick bio, like where are you from?
Well, my nationality is Dominican. I'm Hispanic, and so can you turn up and what up? Yeah. And my nationality is Dominican. I'm Hispanic from two parents that are immigrants, born and raised in New York, and 37 years old right now. I'm with 5 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm a DJ, but I like to put my body to the max. So I also have a renovation company, and which is odd because we cannot be around smoke, but I have a hookah company as well. And that is my history right there. Yes, sir.
So you said we cannot be around smoke. You're talking about sickle cells.
Yeah,
So tell me about that. When did you become aware that you had sickle cells? Is something that your parents knew and told you about? And
right.
how did you process that as a kid? What did that mean?
Well, both of my parents had no knowledge of it at all. Again, my mother had 4 kids before she had one with my father, and none of them have sickle cell at all. Not even the trait. My father has 2 younger siblings, and they do have the traits. When they had me, they told my mother, which is weird because I never heard of this. They told her while she was pregnant. I guess because she was having a lot of issues. They did sometime exam, and still to this day, I feel that she doesn't know the whole context of what sickle cell is because the language barrier. She doesn't speak English. My father does too. I think I was aware of it when I was probably 7 years old. I knew that I was in the hospital always younger. Can I recall that? Not really, but I could recall the pain. But when I became aware, it was because I was 7 years old and I know I had to go on the surgery. And on that moment took a process of 12 hours of waiting on doctors and waiting for the right blood type, and all that process is the process when I knew something was different about it. The older I got, the more I stood away from school. It's when I knew, okay, I have something that is called sickle cell. What it is yet, I don't know. Still to 8, 9 years old, 10, we know the pain that we have in our body. We know the name of the thing that is causing it, but I don't think we know the mathematics of it and the size of it. Yeah, so I became aware about 7.
And then, as you had mentioned in an episode, being in the hospital and waiting on,
Yeah.
What had to happen? Was it a transfusion or what?
When I was 7 years old, I think that was the biggest crisis that I probably went through, besides the one when I was 21. But 21, I caused it. I caused the one that was 21. But the 7 years old was that I was actually transfused to raw blood type, and that just had a bad reaction to my body. And I remember that in one arm, I had the right blood type coming in and the bad one going out. It almost looked like an exchange. Sickle cellers must know what exchange is. You know, where they put out at least a pint or 2 out of your body and then put brand new ones. But this was different from exchange. This was at the same time. And that's when I knew exactly what was going on already.
Why had you been given a transfusion of the wrong blood? Why were you getting a transfusion in the first place?
I do recall that since I was a young kid, I was always high fever, up to 3, and I would think that my sickle cell caused the fever, but it's the opposite. The fever causes my sickle cell crisis to come in. And the fever that I had caused me into falling into a crisis. And when my crisis comes in, it's usually on my left leg and my right arm, the opposite. And I was in so much pain. The way I recall it is yelling as much as I could to get somebody's attention, even though everybody was in the room. But I don't know how else to express that pain to come at that age. I feel like at this age right now, I've become numb to it. Not the pain, but the situation. Yeah.
So when you were 7, you mentioned that you got the wrong blood.
Yes, sir.
why had you,
If my mother knew, she would have sued the hospital. But
so why had you received, was it in the course of getting a regular?
my anemia, no, my anemia, because of the fever caused my crisis. And from the crisis, sometimes it goes to pain and sometimes it goes to your hemoglobin. Because I have crisis when my hemoglobin is at 10 to 11. And which is weird, right? It's odd for a sickle cell, but it's a boom. It happens to my body at least. But this particular day, it did not attack just my pain. It attacked my hemoglobin and it went down to at least a 5 or something. And I need a blood transfusion. Once I got that blood transfusion and it was the wrong type, is where I went and fallen into an ICU.
So it's literally the wrong blood type. Well, that's kind of a big screw up for.
Whether I'm still too young to know exactly the thing, whether it was the wrong blood type or just the wrong antibodies. One of the two. One of the two. And I'm assuming that I'm leaning more to the antibody.
So you're young, you have this experience. You mentioned as late as 9 years old, you didn't really understand the science behind it. And I mean, how do you feel now? At what point did you start grasping a greater understanding about the condition?
Because most of the is probably hate me because of this. Most words. I know I have a sickness, but I don't let it domain over me. I don't let it rule over me. I understand the signs of it and I know the pain that I have it, but I don't go by it. Kind of live by it. I don't try to live by it. Unfortunately, it's something I can't help my body to stop though. I think that I understood fully the danger of it. It was when I was 21, when I was trying to be as normal as anybody in the room. And I couldn't. I couldn't push my body that far. That's when I knew that I had a limit. And when I say that I don't try to live by sickle cell, I mean mentally, I don't mean physically. I do respect the law of sickle cell because I do understand that easily could take us away.
So in as a 37-year-old man who's been dealing with this, what does it feel like to you? What does a crisis feel like?
It's the worst pain you could imagine. I mean, I'm not sure. I like this funny joke. I'm not a woman, but I always say it's like a woman giving birth and a woman having their cramps at the same time. I've never been a woman, but I seen how painful they go through giving birth and how they're in the cramps. Imagine that times 4 plus getting stabbed. That's how I say it. Woman's giving birth, woman getting the cramps, times 4 plus getting stabbed. It's just a sharpening pain, uncontrollable scream when it goes to that full aesthetic.
That's good.
I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how to describe that pain. It's horrible. You have levels to it. You have levels where you can manage it, and is something that you could literally grab your legs or grab your arm real tight, and it could ease off. The pain could ease off. But when it gets to a full crisis, it's tough. When you get to a full crisis, it's tough. I don't know what stabbing feels like. I don't know what any other extended pain from any other condition people could have, but I'm assuming is that times 2.
What do you do in a crisis? You've been here for a while,
I was like, yeah.
And so do you have a particular facility you go to and particular doctors that help you? Like if you feel this coming on, what is your protocol? What do you do?
Well, first and foremost, I got to give all my glory to God because I went through a drought of 10 years of no sickle cell crisis. And that is all glory to God because it obviously was not me taking care of myself. But when I was here in Florida, and still is, I just left the hospital probably about 2 months ago, and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And before that, a month prior to that, I was in the hospital for a month, and I was in the ICU. My pain I like to patrol it first at home as much as I could, because I'm the type of person that I believe the mental start with the physical. So I try to tell my body as much as it can, you got this. You had this. It's just a little pain. It'll get over in 2 weeks. I mean, in 2 hours, sorry. But when I get to the hospital, it's tough because sometimes in the emergency room, they treat you right, sometimes they don't. When they do treat you right, I guess you think that you're gonna be released. You think that it's like, because for 30 minutes, your body calmed down, but the crisis comes right back. And which is why I feel like a lot of emergency rooms believe that we are probably seekers of narcotics, is because our pain crisis just fade for 30 minutes. It comes back. And, every Dilaudid, every morphine, every narcotic you could think of, it takes about 3 hours, 2 hours, 4 hour gap where they have to give it to you again. How can we have it again in 2, 3, 4 hours when our pain crisis comes every 30 minutes? Like I'm appreciative that you're giving me the Dilaudid. That's not enough to sustain my pain. I, I don't know another reason. My trick is holding my arms. Some people eat pads. I even heard cold pads, which is weird because cold triggers my pain, but I don't know.
So Allison talks about, and one thing I've learned through my conversation with her is the value of advocacy, of having, and you're a grown man, so you can speak for yourself, you can represent yourself in these situations, but she also seems to place great value in going to a facility that understands the condition and even has some familiarity with Samaria, right? And knows your situation. So how important is that to you, that when you have a crisis that you go somewhere that they know how to deal with this? And is there a doctor or doctors that know you and what you
Right, correct. Here in this area, are there doctors that know my conditions? Here in this area is so tough to find doctors that know sickle cell beyond the textbook, because anybody could Google it, everybody could know the science of it, but could you understand and have the compassion or the understanding what your patient is really going through of the pain? It's really tough to find those doctors. I found doctors that are really good when it comes to the science of it, but I haven't found a doctor like I did in New York that it goes beyond science for them. It goes conversation with the patient. How are we doing, sir, today? The sitting down with you and try to understand the pain exactly, or going beyond with the tests and the exams they need to do to make sure that it's just not your sickle cell, because sickle cell is the top layer of the whole thing, but under the layers, sickle cell causes a lot of problems: lungs, gallbladders, vision, and we don't. A lot of doctors don't know that. They just like, oh, it's sickle cell, and it just crisis. Sickle cell causes so many other problems. So no, I have not found a facility that I could say this is where I feel comfortable. However, there is nurses and doctors that I do give credit, because they do go beyond the science just a bit.
So you mentioned you had uncles or cousins that have the trait.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And my younger siblings as well.
Yeah. But do they have symptoms that manifest for them, and what?
Not at all. My father, obviously, my father and my mother had them. They don't. I have nothing that triggers sickle cell for them.
So maybe
I'm the only one in the whole 10 brothers and sisters that lives with sickle cell. And my whole family, actually.
this is all great. Maybe could you state that I have brothers, sisters, and cousins that have, but I'm the only one that's up.
Oh, yeah. I have one. Well, you see, in my family, between my mother and my brother and my father, we're like 10. And I'm the only one from my mother and my father. I'm the only one. I know uncles that have sickle cell trait. My younger two sisters have sickle cell trait, and one of my older brother has sickle cell trait. Obviously, my parents as well. That's why I have it. And none of them lives by the condition of sickle cell. I'm the only one that understands what sickle cell is to the full extent, because I'm the only one that came up with SS type and came with the whole sickle cell like in my body. Yeah.
So Carlo was telling me, do you experience pride?
So another thing that I believe that, let's just say there's three lanes with sickle cell, and each of these lanes have 33.3 chances of three different conditions. One of them is just to be normal man when it comes to sex, when it comes to intimate moments. Normal man, that will be affected by, I've seen it. I have friends with sickle cells. The second man is affected by priapism, and the third one is affected by ED because of low oxygen. So all these three men right now, which one is the best to leverage? I've never been affected by priapism at all. Thank God. I don't know what that experience is, but I have experienced once in a blue ED because of my low oxygen. And being a man with sickle cell is already tough enough. And then we have to add on to that. It's already tough because puberty don't hit us early like most people. I'm 37 and I don't have full beard. And I'll go to the sickle cell page and ask 10, 40-year-old men with sickle cell, how many of them have full beard? They will say, no, we look like we're 20. So we already dealing with that. On top of that, that we are anemic. So, right, so it's tough to, they just say your older brother is strong and he's at the gym, and the younger brother, he's over here playing basketball and being, the man of the town. And you just have to be a skinny self with taking breaks every 30 minutes because you can't go beyond what another man can do. That's regular for them. That's regular. Going to the gym is regular for them. Playing basketball until they sweat their whole body out is regular for them. For a regular person. But we can't do that. So it's tough.
We started this conversation, you're talking about not being around smoking or smoke.
Now,
And that's because of the increased oxygen deprivation, I guess.
yes, sir.
Yeah, so maybe talk about that. Why is smoke or being around smoke or smoking dangerous?
So smoking for sickle cellers or sickle cell warriors is really tough because most sickle cellers get attacked with acute chest. And the acute chest is basically tight chest, low oxygen, lungs problem, which is something that I caused. I have sickle cell with lungs problem. Did I cause it myself because I used to smoke hookah? Maybe. I don't know. But those are issues that come with sickle cell. And smoke, what it does to a regular person over time, it gives you lungs problem, lungs issue. Imagine to us where we live faster, like our blood has so many issues. Smoke to me is probably more dangerous than getting in the cold water. And we can't get in cold water. So yeah.
That's because your body responds to cold water by sending increased blood flow to heat the.
Yeah, at least our body. I believe the cold water is because the anemia. I don't know the size of the cold water in sickle cell or the cold. They just said cold in general. I went to Denver and I got a crisis in Denver, not only because of the cold, but also because of the low oxygen that it drains on them. But I believe the cold is because the anemic side of us, our body is so anemic that it can't stand or they don't have the strength to stand the cold water. I look like a girl when I shower is like so steaming in there. Shower with hot water all the way.
So what is the, maybe you don't know, I'm just curious. What is the reason that some sickle cellers have priapism. Why, if I know that erections obviously involve blood flow,
Right.
so, but usually that's due to arousal,
Right.
why do they get blood flow to their penis without arousal? What?
The size of it, why do we have purpose?
Maybe you don't know. If you don't know,
No, I mean, I don't know the size of it, but I'm assuming because I've never been through that issue in my life, and I hope I never go through it. However, I believe that the issue is because the same way we get sickle cell pain crisis. So our sickle cell usually always triggers, every warrior is different. They triggers their arm or their legs. I've seen sickle cells who have pain in the neck. I believe it's because all the cells, back cells, obviously, get stuck in that one spot because it's rushed into that one spot where that is where it triggers the pain. Now, is that the reason all that cell in that blood flow goes to the penis and it has nothing else to do but just get up? Because is it going to have pain when it's flaccid? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm assuming. I don't know the size of it. I fall into the category of my low oxygen. So because of the low oxygen, I don't think I've been caused by that situation. But even like that, I gotta believe that it's tough for them. Because I've seen cases where I read in our sickle cell group chats, they last up to 3-4 hours with that. Like that has to be real painful. Not on top of that, it'll be painful for a regular person like yourself. But on top of that, you have the sickle cell crisis added to it. And a part that is so important for a man, because as much as we want to deny our ego and our pride, we live by that because it's in us. It's part of our DNA to be the man of a household, to be a man of this. And you living through that situation. Imagine being 22, 23, and you just started living with your girlfriend. Your girlfriend knows you have sickle cell, but don't know about that situation. And now you got to go to an emergency room with that girl and be like, "Listen, baby girl, we got to go to an emergency room. It's not because of my leg pain, because this pain is tough." I'm assuming. I've never been through that part of sickle cell, but I don't know. I can't imagine even a man opening up to this girl about that. Is he going to be serious? Are you going to be crying about it? Is he going to be a jokester like me? Because that's what I do. I can't really read about it. Because as a man, when I'm in all my relationships, when I'm with all my girlfriends, I tend to try to be what my father was to my mother, the provider, the man, I got us, the protector. And like you see your girlfriend looking at you vulnerable in the hospital, where she has to sometimes even help you clean yourself, that takes away from your manhood bit by bit. And you're grateful for your girlfriend because you're there to support each other. You're there to be for each other. But the fact that as your manhood, it's like, baby, I'm supposed to be here for you. I'm supposed to be here protecting us. And I can't even get up from the bed. Yeah. She has a headache and she has a back pain, or she just had a tummy ache, and you want to be like, "Hey, here, I got you. You relax in the couch," but you can't even get out of the couch. So now she has to be the tougher one for you because your pain is bigger than hers. And for me, I feel like that diminishes bit by bit what we try to live as a regular man, but with sickle cell. Yep.